Sometimes caregiving sneaks up on you. One moment you're just visiting your mom, and the next you're in the middle of coordinating medications, doctor visits, and tough decisions about hospice or serious illness care. It can feel like you're juggling 1,000 things at once, all while trying to hold on to your own life and sanity. I see families go through this all the time, and I felt it myself as part of the sandwich generation caught between caring for my own kids and supporting aging parents. It's overwhelming. And the truth is, most families don't know where to turn until they're already in crisis. I'm Dale Corpus, a Senior Transition Specialist and real estate expert, based in the San Francisco Bay Area and also a proud member of the sandwich generation myself. Here's my promise to you. Every episode of this podcast brings you real stories, practical tools, and expert insights to make senior living and caregiving transitions easier so you and your loved ones can move forward with confidence instead of stress. Sometimes caregiving sneaks up on you. One moment you're just visiting your mom, and the next you're in the middle of coordinating medications, doctor visits, and tough decisions about hospice or serious illness care. It can feel like you're juggling 1,000 things at once, all while trying to hold on to your own life and sanity. I see families go through this all the time, and I felt it myself as part of the sandwich generation caught between caring for my own kids and supporting aging parents. It's overwhelming. And the truth is, most families don't know where to turn until they're already in crisis. I'm Dale Corpus, a Senior Transition Specialist and real estate expert, based in the San Francisco Bay Area and also a proud member of the sandwich generation myself. Here's my promise to you. Every episode of this podcast brings you real stories, practical tools, and expert insights to make senior living and caregiving transitions easier so you and your loved ones can move forward with confidence instead of stress. Today, I'm joined by Shauna Sweeney, the founder and CEO of TenderCare, a new company that's reimagining how families get support during the most vulnerable moments of caregiving and serious illness. If you've ever struggled to coordinate care, manage hospice decisions, or simply wondered how to be there for a loved one without losing yourself in the process, this episode is for you. From her personal journey to launching TenderCare to her vision of supporting families across California and beyond, this is a powerful conversation. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast, where we help families navigate senior living, real estate, and everything in between. Hosted by Senior Transition Specialist Dale Corpus, this show brings you expert insights, real solutions, and stress-free strategies to make senior transitions simple. Ready to dive in? Let's go.
And we're back, everyone. Shauna, welcome to the show today. How are you?
Dale, thank you so much for having me on. I'm doing great. It's Monday. Can't complain.
Yeah, it is Monday. So glad that Chris Puntalon connected us. And I'm glad to even be part of the TenderCare team and connecting with you online like this. So it's a pleasure to meet you virtually at the same time. So let's just jump right into this. Are you ready?
Let's go.
So what inspired you to create TenderCare, and how did your own experiences shape its mission?
It's a great question. I never intended to go into this space, but like so many who are called to care, it came from my own personal story with my dad. My dad raised me as a single parent in the Bay Area. I'm a Bay Area girl over in San Rafael, and he was a bar pilot out on the bay, bringing the biggest ships back and forth. By the time I had kind of spread my wings and flown into my own career, which was in technology, I was working at Facebook in the early days, if you can imagine, when Facebook was a very small company. We got the news that my dad had some symptoms that were coming back in his annual exam that were warranting more review. And unfortunately, we got the diagnosis back. My dad had early onset Alzheimer's, and that was really what launched my journey into what it means to be a family member, really dedicating themselves to becoming a care partner to someone in their family. Very quickly realized how difficult this was. I was living in New York. My dad was in San Rafael, and I had very little background or training or knowledge about what Alzheimer's was, which is what he was diagnosed with, or what it meant to try and be a remote caregiver for him. But I did have this background in technology. And so I started to hack my way together through finding ways to monitor his bills, put different alerts on for his paper mail, put together what was this sort of system of care around my dad very early on, just for our family. I had a lot of trial and error in this. I missed a number of things that really created a tremendous amount of disruption in my family's whole ecosystem. Like I missed renewing his health insurance.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that as soon as you get diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it means you need to take the keys away. And so there's just a lot of really tough parts of this that started to inspire me to bring together a community. In the beginning, it was really just community building. And what I did was I formed an employee resource group at Facebook for anyone who was caring for someone else, thinking there'd be maybe 15, 20 of us. There were quickly turned from about a very small 15 to 20 person group into a 4,000 person group where I became the unintended moderator for this group, hearing so many stories of what families across the country were experiencing as they were doing the work of leaning in and helping care for someone in their family. And this really motivated me. What it did was it opened my eyes to what is this current modern experience, what it means to be a multi-generational family, and really stepping in to help care in different ways for those that we love. And I realized technology wasn't playing nearly as big a role in this as it could. This was incredibly homegrown, and many families I was talking to were reinventing the wheel over and over again. There wasn't a lot of shared knowledge that was being passed. And coming from a tech background, I realized if we could create a foundational system that families could really lean into and start to adopt and use, they could avoid a lot of those early misfires that my own family and others that I was hearing about were experiencing. And we could be a much more empowered sort of approach to how we think about caring in general. So that's really the very early beginning idea of TenderCare, was just really, where can technology add more value? How can we approach what is really happening out there across families like mine and like many others, and equip families with the tools they need to be able to do this with the right care that those that we love deserve.
Yeah. And what you're doing is so needed right now. And I love hearing about your background. We all come from this, from just our own families. And then I didn't think I was going to be even, I'm in real estate. Here I am now also talking about caregiving and aging parents and, sandwich generation. I didn't even know what a sandwich generation was until like last year. So, but here I am. And hey, I wanted to ask you a question. Did your time at Facebook influence how you approach building TenderCare?
Oh, yes. First, I knew from knowing the engineers, the designers, the product managers, that there's very specific rituals and ceremonies in which we build product, and we build product for scale. At Facebook, I was lucky enough to be part of a company that was just breaking through milestones left and right in sort of the course of human history. There have never been tools that have been used by billions of people quite to this scale. And so being there on the front lines and really understanding how a product gets ideated around, built, designed, and then launched into the world was fundamental to how I thought about building TenderCare. When I think about what it means to care for one another, that's something that we humans have been doing, for thousands of years. But when I look at the industry and I look at even the experience my own family had with figuring out who the right professional was to work with at different points of my dad's journey, we're still on it, by the way. I'm still my dad's caregiver. I have been for 14 years. I realized a lot of this was word of mouth or PDF documents. It wasn't really using the full leverage of what technology can do, which essentially at its simplest is just make jobs that we are trying to accomplish easier. That's really what technology is. And how can you do that incredibly well so that it doesn't just work for one person, but now it works for millions, hundreds of millions of people. And so the way that I think about TenderCare always is, how do I keep a very specific set of individuals in mind that I am building and designing for? Oftentimes people like me who are eldest daughters and assuming just a tremendous amount of responsibility and high conviction and being able to provide care, but maybe not as much time in understanding the ins and outs of what a lot of these different services and professionals and what the journey really looks like. And how do I do that so it works really well for the 10 people that I'm building for, but that it would also work for, the millions of people I may not know yet who may be engaging in a lot of this work themselves. So very much taking that tech builder mindset to thinking about this incredible ecosystem of care that is already very vibrant and very human, which I actually think is one of its strong suits.
Yeah. In the space that you're in, what were the gaps you kept seeing that no one else was solving, out of curiosity?
I don't think anyone was really building for the family. I don't think truly building for the family. And there's a lot of really good reasons for that. Very hard to find caregivers out there in the world, right? We don't identify as caregivers. I didn't even know what the word was until maybe 4 or 5 years into actually being a full-time primary caregiver. So if you're on the building side, very hard to go out and find that audience. And secondly, it's really hard to be able to understand, what does this group really want? How can you build for them in a way that you can create a real business around this?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I found was a lot of the service offerings that were out there were oftentimes really built for other customers in mind, built for health insurance or built for employers, not necessarily thinking about what is that family experience and how do you create value there first, and then a better way to integrate into the industry. So for us, TenderCare has always been about family first, always been about helping that person who is stepping into the seat of expanding their set of responsibilities to care not just for themselves or their children, but often for their parents or their grandparents, and creating an extraordinary experience for them. And then having the way that the business operates around them support that as our mission.
Yeah. I want to segue into talking about what TenderCare actually does. For someone who's never heard of TenderCare, how would you describe it in simple terms?
TenderCare is a smart care system to help you get organized, get educated, and get prepared for the journey ahead for your loved one. And it's entirely free. It is a number of tools. You can download the app on the App Store, or if you've got an Android in Google. It is a very, very sort of intentionally designed set of tools and resources and services that connect you to what information you need to gather that might already be across your family, what information might be missing, like what key legal documents you might need or conversations you need to have with your family, and then what systems you should immediately put in place and understand about decision making your family will very quickly, or sometimes a few years later, have to make decisions around, like when to bring care into the home, when to relocate your loved one into a home with either you or into a safer environment, when to think about budgeting for the future and what it looks like, what are the real costs and who's going to be paying for that, and what roles will you and your family members be doing in supporting the person who really needs your care. TenderCare is a smart system to be able to tackle those questions, to be able to keep your family all in one place, and then ultimately to connect with real experts in either your neighborhood or your loved one's neighborhood who can help fill in the gaps of some of these big parts of care that every family will be experiencing at some point or another.
A follow-up question I have to that is, what kinds of families or situations does TenderCare serve best? Yeah.
What I find often with families, my own included, is that we do not want to confront something that is either sad or requires a real change unless we really have to. The reason for that is we like to imagine our family healthy. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's what I'm always hoping for, is that, as a mom, I'm a stepmom, I've got a set of in-laws, my own parents. We want everyone to be healthy and happy. It's hard to prepare for the emergency scenario before it happens. Yeah. What we find is that most families who find TenderCare have already experienced some diagnosis, some incident that has left, their loved one in the emergency room, or there's been a fall, or something that has really warranted stepping up and saying, okay, we need better tools. We need to put some support in place around someone in our family. And that's really where TenderCare is there to kind of catch a family with open arms and regardless of what scenario, make sure that that family member, ideally the primary caregiver, feels like you have a partner now in helping you start to plan and start to put some protections around your loved one. So we have a whole system for intake in which we ask a number of really easy to answer questions about what's going on for you and your family. And based off of that, very quickly put together a series of steps to get organized and get more prepared. You can do this in the app. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do it little bit by little bit. We're all busy. You can do big chunks of this at a time, but to really meaningfully understand how you can put some more infrastructure around your family member by checking in. What kind of health insurance does this person have? Have you guys thought through what durable power of attorney is and a healthcare proxy? Do you know who the emergency contact is for your loved one? If you're not there, who do you call? How do you make sure that they're safe when you might be at your job? These are all the kind of questions that we hold a person's hand through and then make sure that we've got a really smart system set up for them so that they've got answers for all of those questions on the other side of working with us.
Nice. I like it. Now, how does your platform or service model actually work? Can you walk us through a typical user experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have all kinds of really amazing features that help a family feel safer or more secure. So family might find out about us through a first responder, through their local community network. What we call these are magic magnets and tender IDs. We give these out for free. We believe that, it's our job to be there in the moment in which you might not be able to be. And what these do, you can either put these in your loved one's wallet, you can put these on the fridge. You're able to fill out what conditions your loved one has, what allergies, what medications, who's the emergency contact. If a first responder who's trained to look inside of the wallet or on the refrigerator scans this QR code, what's really cool is not only do they know how to give the very best care to your loved one, maybe they're like in my dad's case, he's nonverbal. That's not because he's having a medical event. It's just because that's what stage he happens to be in with Alzheimer's. They can give really great care. And this immediately sends an alert out to me, my little brother, my husband. Everyone knows at the same time that something is happening and it's time for us to make sure that we are as a family for providing my dad care. So you may be brought into the TenderCare system through a magic magnet. These are given out all across the country. We've made thousands and thousands of these. Or you might hear about us through word of mouth. We have an incredible team at TenderCare, all of caregivers who have either been caregivers themselves or actively caring for someone. One of our, I think, Dale, you mentioned, one of our team members, Chris Punsalan, is a very well-known caregiver himself for his grandmother. He has amassed an audience of millions of caregivers and caregiving families across the country. So we're constantly talking about some of the ways that TenderCare can help. What are ways that families really need more support from technology? You might hear about us from Chris or some of the work that we do on social media. You are then invited to come and download the app, totally free for families. You'll be brought through an intake, very quick intake on the other side of that, in which we'll immediately start to equip you with who are the emergency numbers in your loved one's area that you should have on hand. You should be printing out and have ready to go. Most people don't actually know the phone number for their local fire station or who to call when the electricity goes out or there's a power outage or the local police station. These are like very practical, valuable pieces of information. We immediately start to invite you to store inside of TenderCare. We then do a bit of an audit on like, what information do you have on your loved ones? You know their primary care physician or their specialists. You know who their dentist is. These are really important for being able to provide care. We store them all inside of your account for you to have on hand when you need it ready to go. You can then start to immediately upload all of the key either doctor's notes, medical visits, key information like insurance or Medicare. We actually partner with Medicare into what we call a vault. And a vault is the core information that you will need for any number of day-to-day activities in caring for your loved one. We then very quickly assess what is missing from that vault and then hold your hand on starting to go out and find this information. We also ask you, what are you worried about? Usually we find most families know there's something, what we call the dread zone, that they're especially concerned about. It might be that, they have to go away every once in a while and they don't trust that their loved one can cook on their own, or they're getting concerned because their loved one doesn't seem to be getting through their mail and they don't seem to have enough food in their refrigerator. or, times we have like a parent who's passed away and left another parent, and they're concerned that this person is lonely and needs more social like activities throughout the week in order to still feel like they're a valued member of the community, which they are.
Yeah.
We really quickly assess that and then immediately start to deliver a sort of a personalized set of recommendations. This is what we call our trusted service network.
Okay.
So we have a group of incredible, highly vetted professionals across the country who do anything from helping to provide in-home care right after a surgery or a discharge for just a short period of time, to long-term if we're looking to bring someone that's like incredibly reliable and trustworthy into the home, because there's a number of different activities that a family is getting a little concerned about, to relocating across the country moves. That's a big deal when someone like my dad has Alzheimer's. It's very confusing for them to know why suddenly we're, as a family, inviting people into our home to come and see the home before they go and purchase it. So a whole strategy from professionals around how do you actually make someone in that situation feel more comfortable? What does it look like to relocate? There's senior move managers who actually can help you understand what should you be holding on to as a family. How do you think about taking what perhaps was like a 1,500, 2,000 square foot home and moving it into an independent living facility in which, your loved one now has 500 square feet? What do you keep? What do you pass on to family members? These are new questions for most families. And so we connect, depending on what person is most concerned about, that person up to any number of our different trusted service members in our network who can help hold their hand through that process. Our goal is to really be the connector across both a family and all of the incredible people in each community that are standing by, ready to help with any number of different key care scenarios.
Yeah. And is it fair to say that, so say a lot of families have siblings that are all kind of collectively helping their aging parent, and they might be in different areas of the country, but does it serve as almost a central hub to keep everybody abreast of what's going on and they could access all the documents together? How does that kind of work?
Absolutely. We know that one of the biggest parts that makes care hard is being able to work as one team across a family. You're in different locations, often different roles. There's different strengths across the family of managing the bills versus managing the day-to-day groceries, managing healthcare decisions. And so we allow a family to identify different roles across the family, share in one platform what's happening across each of the different activities. You have like a whole activity feed inside of TenderCare per account, and the ability to invite any number of different people to your care team to take part in that alongside you. This makes it really easy if there's one member of the family who's really organized and one who maybe has different strengths. It allows everyone to work together towards their strong suits and really think about care as one team. It is teamwork ultimately. So we make sure that there's all kinds of ways to collaborate. So you can share information. And then, like I mentioned before, you can also send alerts to different family members for different reasons. The emergency alert being one of them, so that everyone can jump in when they need to.
I love it. So what sets TenderCare apart from traditional home care, palliative care, or hospice coordination services?
First, we're totally free, which is great. It's part of our mission to help everyone. The other piece is that we are incredibly personalized and fast. So one of the benefits of being a technology platform is that we have the whole breadth and depth of looking across all of the best automated tools and using them on behalf of a family. And so when I say that, I mean, you have the ability in the palm of your hand to have a highly intensive search across every single zip code in the entire country, across all 14 categories of care that we've identified, all the way from in-home care, all the way towards estate settlement and everything in between. And dependent on your highly personalized responses to our intake, we're able to deliver incredibly deep, personalized recommendations to you on the spot, 24 hours a day. This is brand new and totally different than engaging with an agency or a service that is often 9 to 5 or working across a very specific location and depth of knowledge. So I would say we are a much wider coverage area, and
Yeah.
we're there in your pocket for you and your family whenever you need us.
Yeah. And what geographic areas are you currently serving now? And are you expanding into the Bay Area or California more broadly?
Oh, such a good question. As a Bay Area girl, I have my eye on really going above and beyond in the Bay Area. My dad is still there. We are across all 50 states right now. We have thousands of families. We are adding thousands of families every month to our platform, but we are I would say, most deeply available across the East Coast where I currently live, and we're about to launch in the Bay Area. So, and when I say launch, I mean this is already a set of free tools that are available to anyone anywhere. If you have a smartphone, we're available to you, but we will be doing a significant amount of activity of bringing the industry together in the Bay Area here across the holidays. So Dale, you're going to be roped into this. Watch this space. We are bringing the entire industry together. We believe deeply and are committed to doing this because one of our commitments to families is we bring the very, very best onto the platform. We make sure we spend an incredible amount of time vetting anyone who's a trusted service member, getting to know their business, what makes them special, why would we feel comfortable bringing this individual or this business into our own living rooms, and then only surfacing the very best selection to families so that they can cut out all of the doom scrolling, the research, the scary sort of searching for the right person on the other side, and really very quickly get to caring for their loved one. So that is coming over the holidays. And what that looks like is essentially just a tremendous amount of activity around bringing caregivers together, both on one side. We're doing this in Boston right now, hosting a number of big events.
Nice.
And then also on the other side, really bringing the industry together to what does it look like to raise the bar on service? And what does it look like to only offer trusted options to families across the full spectrum of care?
Okay. Let's segue into how you help the sandwich generation specifically. How does TenderCare directly support adult children trying to care for aging parents?
It's one of my favorite questions. I'm about as sandwich as it gets. I have 4 kids. It's crazy, right? It's true chaos on the weekends between soccer and like singing practice. It's just nuts on the sandwich side. I also have 2 in-laws over at a CCRC, actually. My dad, who's doing in-home care, my mom. It's just a lot. So, I mean, I've been building for sandwichers like myself since day one. I see your pain. I feel you. I promise. Like, help is coming. One of the things that we often do, I have this incredible head of research on my team. She's got her PhD in family dynamics and understanding specifically what this chapter of life looks like for all of us, which is just brutal. Coffee helps. But one of the things that we have identified, we ask the same question. We do thousands of user interviews. We talk to thousands of family caregivers, many of whom are sandwichers. We ask them, what's your perfect day? Probably not a surprise to you, Dale, when we hear what a perfect day looks like, it often does not involve a lot of the pieces of care. It's actually taking a break for a second. It's, just catching a nap, honestly. Right. And what we've realized is there are pieces of care that are just real killers for a sandwich. And that is the coordination, the logistics, the having to send all of your family members an update and spend the time being sort of PR for your loved one, and managing through bureaucracy, filling out the same form 30 different times. Those are the things that just kill us because we know we have to somehow fit 36 hours in a 24-hour day already. So one of the ways that we really lean into helping sandwich caregivers is by saving them time. So we have really simple ways of saving them hundreds of hours. And it's one of our core principles as a business. Like, where can we shave off a few more minutes? Where can we save them from being asked the same question again and again and having to give the same answer back? We have things like emergency PDFs. These are basically an opportunity to immediately have all the questions you're asked by a doctor, a new doctor, or by an intake for an emergency department, all in one place for you to be able to share with your family members, to be able to share with your doctors. You don't have to keep scrambling for the information over and over again. We just build these assets for you without you having to do much. Similarly, we make sure your vault is a place where it's based off of scenario. So if you've got a new person coming in to help that isn't familiar with everything that your loved one needs, a really easy way to share routines with them. Here are the medications. Here's like, who do you need to call for this scenario? Here's my special notes for you. You don't need to write this out 10 times. It's right there in your vault on your behalf. We look for ways that we can just put a little bit of that time back into your day to use towards the things that we hear answers about what your perfect day looks like. Spending time with your kids, sleeping in for 30 more minutes, not staying up till 4 a.m, working on research. One of the biggest ways that we can help a family is honestly by shortcutting the research that is required for them to be able to make a decision of who they should be doing business with and who they can trust is going to be providing great care for their loved one. We take what is often a crazy multi-hour experience of going through tons and tons of services when you go and put something into Google and make that a very easy connection and match for you, for someone in your community that you can very quickly see what makes them trustworthy, what makes them reliable, why are they the right one for your family. And all of those are ways that we try and take a little bit of the burden off the shoulders of Sandwicher, because we're in the grind already. We don't need to be doing that for care as well.
Yeah. Now, can you share a story, don't mention any names, keep it anonymous, of a family that TenderCare made a difference for?
This is my favorite part of my job. This is just the best, right? We like to joke at TenderCare, first, there's never enough hours in the day, but also there's never a single calorie that's wasted on like, did I make a difference today or this week? And the reason for that is that we get the most incredible stories back from our families who write into us. We have a Slack channel internally in our team. It's called Happy Thoughts, and it's where we post a lot of the feedback we're getting from people who are using the tools that we're building. And some of the places I find I am most moved by that we hear stories around are where TenderCare plays a role in an emergency. Like, this is the thing that nobody wants, right? It happens sometimes when you're part of a family. You get the bad news, right? And it's scary and it's intense and you're on your way to the emergency room, or there's like something has happened now. The stories that matter the most to me are when we hear back from people who use TenderCare that they were on their way to the ER. Their loved one had ended up there after a fall. Scary. They don't have any of the details. They've just heard that this has happened and they're on their way there. This just came in actually last week. And they realize they don't have power of attorney with them and are about to turn back. And they're already 30 minutes towards the emergency room and their mind is racing. They're realizing they're going to have to turn back and go back to their filing cabinet to go find this in order to gain access and help make some health decisions for their loved one. Yeah. They're on their way to make the turn when they remember that they have TenderCare and that they've uploaded all of their mom's information into TenderCare already. They've got their vault and they keep going and they don't have to make the hour-long drive to go home. They go straight back to the emergency and they're able to be there by their loved one's side in the moment in which they are needed. And to me, even though those things are small, we just saved them an hour of like probably what is a nightmare moment in their life. I feel so proud to play a very, very tiny role in making that just a little bit easier for them to be able to get there and be by their side. So those are the kinds of ways in which I really feel confident we're moving the needle. And it's so energizing to build more features to be able to play that role.
I love that. I'm sure it motivates you to keep going. Now, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling overwhelmed but doesn't know where to start?
That's all of us. Anyone who's starting on this experience is like, oh no, this is not what I wanted my day to start out with. This feels scary. This is dreadful. Is it just happening to me? First, you're not alone. This is universal. It's an experience all of us go through. It does not need to be as scary. It is possible to find incredible resources and people stepping in ready to help you on this journey. Oftentimes, the best way to start to feel better is just to take the first step.
Yeah.
Now, that's an easy thing to say, right? But it can often feel paralyzing. I've been there before. You don't want to acknowledge that this is happening. For me in particular, with my dad, I just wanted to make this all go away. I
Yeah.
didn't want to think that I was now living in a world in which my dad was sick and was going to need my help. So there's a lot of denial that I was going through in the beginning. It'd be great if it was as easy as just like, hey, download TenderCare and it's all going to be better. That is not how this works. There is a emotional journey that you are on as well as you're redefining your roles with your loved one. This is a new paradigm. You know, the relationship up until now may have been one in which you never needed to step in to help. And actually, it's been decades of a different dynamic. And this is going to require a lot of patience on many different family member sides, not just the caregiver. It also is hard to accept help, right? So it's complicated. So my advice would be, one, to accept the complication of this and to accept the mixed emotions of this. It is not going to be a one and done, solve it, and you're just back to the way things are. There are many tools available like TenderCare to step in and equip you for this journey, but also to make sure that you have the checks and balances in your own life in order to be resilient through what will likely be a series of changes.
Yeah.
Now, this can mean running more or walking or making sure that you are doing something for yourself in order to be able to show up for your loved ones through the week. It might be therapy. It might be talking to your best guy friend or best girlfriend about this, but making sure that you have set up an environment in which you can be resilient is really key to being able to meet this moment, which it is, it's a moment, and being able to do that and rise to the occasion. You want to be the best version of yourself, and that often requires putting things in place that might not directly have to do with caregiving. So I would advise, one, make sure to bring the tools in that are available to you that doesn't hurt to try, especially something like TenderCare. It's totally free, but also to equip yourself for what can be sometimes a very complicated, sometimes sad set and series of changes that you are going to be able to face with grace if you have set up the right environment for yourself.
Yeah. Do you see a future where TenderCare integrates with healthcare systems, senior communities, or insurance?
The idea is to make everything easier for a family. That is always where we start at TenderCare. What is the better, easier experience? We, as you know, Dale, have to go across so many surfaces right now. We are racing in and out of my charts and banking apps and, Medicare and insurance claims. It's crazy. It's like truly crazy. It's like a full-time job, right? So where and however we can simplify, we are committed to doing so. We just did this with Medicare. So excited for being able to integrate now into all of your loved ones' Medicare information, all on the TenderCare platform. We're going to continue to integrate and bring the ecosystem together to make this feel like a smooth, friction-free experience. So absolutely, the idea is cohesion, simplicity, unity of information. There's no good reason that a family today should be living with such a jumble of usernames, passwords, information stored here, information stored there, none of it talking to one another. That's crazy. So if it feels crazy, it's because it is. So absolutely. And we're going to keep ticking those off as we go.
What's one innovation you're really excited about right now?
I mean, we're living in one of the most exciting moments that technology has had since the advent of the smartphone. As a technologist, we are just watching as widespread behavior change is happening, like real systems change with the advent of, AI and the application of AI into so many different nooks and corners and crannies and like major systems of how we all work as one society, as as a series of communities. So it's really exciting to be building tools in this moment in time, because what it ultimately means is that there are new tools to solve old problems.
Right.
So things that were impossible even 4 years ago are now possible, which as an inventor is just like a kid in a candy store. So on sort of a large scale, I'm just so excited to be able to, in good faith, go out and solve the hard problems with new powerful tools to do so. One of the more exciting technologies that I've seen recently outside of that, um, I'm really interested in sort of robotic companions. That's not where TenderCare goes.
Right.
That's, our goal is really to connect humans to humans. And I
Right.
still firmly believe in that. But really interesting to think about robotic companions can really do. I was teaching a class at Stanford in their business school last year, and I've always kind of poo-pooed robotics. And we were given a demo of one that a very, very intelligent team has been working on, LEQ. And, watching as this very charming, humorous robot companion was able to really walk through what it looks like for someone who's maybe immobile, who's on the couch, can take a tour through Ireland, for
Yeah.
instance, from their couch. That's an incredible gift to give someone whose travel days might be behind them and is now able to take that tour, with a very cheeky, very funny, personality imbued robot next to their side. It makes me really hopeful that it's not black and white. There's a lot of humanity that can be instilled in some of these solutions that provide more access to those who still deserve to take a tour through Ireland, even if they might not be able to get on a plane.
I love that. Hey, what's your vision for TenderCare in the next 2 to 3 years?
I want to be there by a family's side at all of the major tipping points. And when I say tipping points, I mean the moment that we all go through where we come home for the holidays and we realize with fresh eyes, mom needs way more help than what I assumed. What should I do about that? Or, wow, there's a lot of dings on dad's fender. Seems like he might be having a harder time with driving. What do I do about that? Or I really feel like my kids need to spend more time with their grandparent while we
Mhm.
still have the chance. What do we do about that?
Yeah.
I want TenderCare to be there when they're asking that question. And I want to shorten dramatically the time from what do we do about that to here is the set of solutions and answers you can start to think through what makes the most sense for your family. And I want to do that across the country. I don't care if you live in New Jersey or you live in Petaluma. I want your family to feel like you have answers at your fingertips
Yeah.
and that you have an incredible, vast array of people who are going to help you make the best of those decisions that you as a family ultimately come to. So I'd like to be in every single community. I'm not talking every state. I mean, every zip code, with the ability to answer and help answer that question for you. And to create a whole different paradigm for modern aging. I think we approach this from a place of fear. I think we approach it from a place of hesitation and denial. I come from a family, I'm fourth generation Chinese American from the Bay Area. My family was there for the gold rush. Super proud of that. My great grandma, she lived to 103 in Chinatown. She was the most important person in my family. Papa was like VIP. And we all kind of created family around her. I want to bring that same strength and sense of respect to our elders, to every family, and to make it super easy for them to do this work. And so it's going to be really exciting over the next couple of years as we keep spreading both from the East Coast and the West Coast, but also from the inside out so that we can make that reality true.
Yeah. So the majority of my audience is based in the San Francisco Bay Area. What kinds of partnerships are you hoping to build, especially here in the San Francisco Bay Area?
It's a great question. This is an invitation for anyone who has dedicated their life to care, to making a career out of caring for families, whether you're a senior move manager, a geriatric care manager, a senior placement locator, if you are an elder law attorney, if you are a real estate broker, if you are a financial advisor who has really leaned into this chapter and ensuring a family has comfort through this chapter with your services. We are taking nominations and applications. We are only letting the most trustworthy, reliable, and excellent professionals onto our platform because we are raising the bar across the industry. My mission is to build and help grow the businesses of those who are providing this level of excellence in care to families. And so creating a movement among the industry for bringing these individuals together for the first time in one place to help build each other's businesses, grow each other's businesses, and connect you with families who really need your help. You are going to make all the difference for family. You already do. You're doing this in your work, and TenderCare is there to help support you in that effort. So either nominate those who you know fit that criteria, or go ahead and apply yourself to be part of the trusted network. You can find more information on what the application process looks like at our website over at trytendercare.com. And we go super deep with your business. We really want to understand what makes you tick and why you lean into caring for families in the way that you do. And ideally, we want to partner with you on raising the bar for all of your colleagues who are out there in the profession to make sure that we are creating a standard of excellence. That's really the ask and the invitation in the Bay Area as we continue to build our trusted service membership up.
Love it. I love that. What has founding TenderCare taught you about yourself?
I think the founder's journey or the business, anyone who's starting their own business maybe doesn't realize in the beginning, but definitely realizes after a little bit, is that while this is, yes, about building a business, it's also an invitation to know yourself more deeply, understand your own ability to face challenges, be resilient in, the experience of your first setback, how to really earn the trust of anyone you call a customer. How do you deliver value? How do you protect your time? And also think about what role both building for others plays in your life and also for protecting the time you have with your own family. One of the best parts of all of this so far for me, and there's many great parts of being a founder and building TenderCare, is one, spending all of my time on something I believe deeply in. This is my life's work. This is something that brings me so much value and purpose in my own life, but also inviting my family along for the journey. I have a 4-year-old, and just last week we had our entire team out to our home as part of like the last gasp of summer, bringing everybody out of the office and getting some fresh air. And after seeing the team together and working together, my 4-year-old stops me at breakfast the next morning and says, I want to work on TenderCare. And what a gift as a mom, right? And as a founder to have that reflected back to you by your own kids who see the meaning and the purpose. And it's an invitation for them to think about their own life as a way to serve others in the same way. So to me, what I've learned in founding TenderCare is, one, it is possible to do hard things. It is possible to take something that can be a tragedy in your life and turn it into something incredibly important and positive and meaningful. And also as a way to really understand your own motivations in yourself and where you can continue to grow as a human being and where you can continue to serve your broader community.
Yes. What gives you hope in this space?
Dale, it's people like you. It's those you get to go out and meet and realize who have devoted their life to caring for families. And, we read the news and it's always filled with these super scary headlines. And it makes you wonder about our species. Like, wow, is this a scary world that we're living in? Is this a terrible world? Can I trust my neighbor? Can I trust people in my community? When I meet people like you, it is 100% proof that we are people who take care of each other. We take care of each other in our families. We take care of each other in our communities. We take care of each other with the businesses and how we serve each other. I am just in love with this industry. It is filled with the most incredible human beings. I have never seen anything like this. You have people who are supposedly competitors helping one another, and they do it because they're in it to help care for their communities. And that is first and foremost the most important thing that they are filling their day and making their livelihoods off of. What an incredible space to be in. I feel so lucky and so privileged to be part of it.
I agree. I've never met so many caring professionals, and you could tell like they inherently care. You could just see it. They want to talk to you. They want to know you.
Yeah, it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
I feel so lucky. It's the most like life affirming, most human industry. It's just been a wonderful gift to get to become more of a part of it and learn where, technology can be of value, where it can actually listen and understand what problems it solves. The magic magnet that I talked about earlier, this was actually the recommendation from one of our trusted service members. And so even hearing from the community, like, where can we be of help? Where are there problems that technology can actually help improve? In this case, it was a piece of paper, right, called the Vial of Life that they have just been living with. And it's just terrible, ultimately. It's a piece of paper and it's outdated and it doesn't work. And so being able to be in real partnership with the community and the industry and understanding where we can lean in to help improve, it's just incredibly gratifying.
Yeah. So as we come to a close on this episode, here's one of my last questions. What's one message you wish every adult child of an aging parent could hear?
Don't wait. Don't wait, don't wait, don't wait. We can't opt out of getting older. I wish we could. We cannot. This is part of what it means to be human, and that's okay. This is a natural chapter that we are all moving into together. There is so much you can do right now. Have the conversation. Start to put some of the pieces of information in one place. Have the plan, right? It's going to come in handy. I promise you, it will come in handy. So don't wait. We're headed into the holidays. It's a great opportunity when families are gathering again to sit down, have a conversation, start to work through what it looks like. What is the plan long term? Is it that mom is going to move in with someone? Is it that mom is going to be, staying on her own for a little while? What support do you need to have in place in order to make that true? These are all really important questions that every family is going to need to tackle. There's no right answer, but don't wait. Do it now.
Okay, excellent. And lastly, any final words, and where can people learn more about you and TenderCare?
Come be part of the movement, the mission, the platform with us. There's so many different ways to engage with us. You can find us on trytendercare.com. We are free, whether you're Android or iPhone. We got a free app. You should absolutely download us. It's TenderCare for Families. You can find so much on our website. We have a blog. We feature so many different trusted service members who are just offering their expertise and their guidance to the community. This is totally free. It's worth it. Take advantage of it. Come read up on our website. And if you want to be a part of the industry with us, come apply. You can apply on our website. We're also super active on social. I come from a social media company. We've got some incredible just powerhouses on our team who are just always out there really inviting families to come in and be a part of this with us. You can sign up for following us on Instagram, on Facebook. We've got a podcast on YouTube. We've got a newsletter. You can sign up on our website that goes out weekly. Whatever way you like to engage, come be part of this with us.
I love it. You're exciting me and motivating me, by the way.
Yeah, let's go.
Anyway, so Shauna, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your journey and the mission behind TenderCare. What you're building is giving families clarity, compassion, and hope during one of the hardest times of life. And I know listeners will walk away encouraged and more prepared. And for those of you watching or listening, here's my promise to you once again. Every episode of this podcast brings you real stories, practical tools, and expert insights to make senior living and caregiving transitions easier so you and your loved loved ones can move forward with confidence instead of stress. And if your loved one is considering senior living and you need to figure out what to do with their home, let's chat. You can book a free consultation and learn more about my services at www.simplifyseniortransitions.com. Have a quick question, DM me on Instagram, and don't forget the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all major platforms. If you found this interview helpful, please leave a 5-star review, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Thanks for tuning in. Shauna, one last thank you for being on the episode with me today.
Thank you so much, Dale.
You are very welcome. And for the rest of you, I'll see you all on the next episode of the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast.